So far, our microservice is running well. But now imagine the system grows. We have now catalog service, basket service, ordering service, payment services. Without an API gateway, client must talk to every service directly. This creates tightly coupling and chaos. When client talks directly to services, clients need to know all service URLs. Any service changes can break the clients. Security must be duplicate everywhere. Version Versioning becomes painful. This does not scale technically or organizationally. An API gateway is a single entry point for all clients. Clients talk to the gateway talks to internal services. This gives us decoupling, centralized security, controlled routing. An API gateway typically handles routing, authentication and authorization, rate limiting, request aggregation, API versioning. But note that it does not contain business logic. In the .NET ecosystem, we use YARP. YARP stands for yet another reverse proxy. It is built by Microsoft, high performance, fully customizable, perfect for building API gateway in .NET. YARP fits perfectly with .NET Aspire. Aspire handles service discovery and configuration. YARP handles request routing, client entry points. This together give us clean local experience. In a code walkthrough, we will create a YARP gateway project, register it with Aspire, route client request to catalog services. But note, there is a no security and no aggregation yet we are developing, just clean routing. In this episode, we are not adding authentication, rate limiting, caching, cloud configuration. First we build the gateway correctly, enhancement comes later part. With that understanding, let's move to the code. We will build our YARP API gateway, make it single entry point for our microservice. This is a major architectural milestone. Okay, now I'm in the Visual Studio. So in the previous session, we created catalog services. So now we'll start creating the gateway API. Just click add new project. Here search for core web API. Okay, then click next. We call it as gateway API and choose our repository directory. Then click next. Okay, just uncheck the enlist in .NET Aspire orchestra. We will add it manually from our end. Okay. Just click create. Now the project will get created under here. So let's open the program. So here we don't need this unnecessary quotes. We'll remove this all till here, and yes. Okay. Okay. Now what we will going to do? So before going to go through this, let's walk through one thing. Like for each and every services and API, if you notice, there is a properties, under properties there is a launch settings. In the launch settings we have a default defined profiles, even you can manually edit it. This profile for like which profile you want to run, http, https, docker, or so on so on. So each profiles we have an application url, the localhost, and the port number where you can access your services. Okay, so now let's go back to the program file. Now, as we discussed, we are using the YARP. So go to the manage NuGet package and browse. Okay. Search for YARP. So you see YARP reverse proxy from Microsoft. Install this latest version. Click accept. Okay. Our package got installed. Let's close this window. Now what the next step we're going to do? Let's go to the AppHost file. Here we just include gateway API for the orchestra builder.add project. Okay, before that adding the project we have to add the reference. So let's go and add the project reference. Just select this project. Now builder.add project, projects dot call it as get. Okay. Then we'll add with reference catalog service. Okay, so we included in AppHost. Now next thing is we have to go to the app settings of gateway API. So here we are going to define our reverse proxy configuration. See, if you select here, so here in the reverse proxy there is a two things. One is the cluster and routes. Cluster is nothing but um, it is a group of services or the endpoint where you are configuring based on the route. Suppose there is a catalog slash products. If that route you are saying, if such a route, then go go to the matched cluster id. So under the clusters we define the cluster, that is a catalog service, and the address, the endpoint of the catalog services. So based on that, root will take the input from the client and it will pass and get the address from the cluster, and it will give the result. So let's go and create the clusters first. So under the clusters we'll go and create the name for the cluster, catalog cluster. Okay, then under the catalog cluster we create destinations. Under the destinations we'll create the destination. So here under the destination you can define the multiple addresses. So here I am defining just one destination currently. In the load balancer you can have multiple destination address point. Okay, under this you have to define the addresses. Okay, so now my catalog cluster will run the launch settings. So for the HTTP, we will take this endpoint, this particular URL, and paste it here. Okay, now my cluster, I define my catalog cluster and the address. Now next step is we'll go on define the routes. Under the routes, first step is create the route. Okay. Under the catalog route, if you mouse over, you need two things record parameter. One is cluster ID and the match. So cluster ID is nothing but we have to which cluster ID based on the match it need to go. So let's define the cluster ID first. Here our cluster ID is then next match. Under the match you have to first define, see it there is a missing record property path. This is a mandatory where you have to tell that if the inputs, suppose so example catalog slash product or catalog slash any other endpoint, then redirect to this cluster. So we have to define the path. Under the path, so I say like catalog slash, oh sorry, catalog and catch all, whatever, pass it to the cluster ID, catalog cluster ID. Okay, so now this is done. So another one important thing which we need to do is we need to do the transform. Why transform is required? If you see the catalog service, it will give the result like localhost slash the port number slash products, you get the data, but there is a no such a path catalog. This catalog is we are representing from the client, like considering the catalog slash whatever that, so we considering this prefix as a catalog cluster. So when we internally converting, we have to identify already clusters, then we have to remove this catalog, then only we have to pass the remaining endpoint. Okay, that's the reason we need to remove the prefix. So let's go and remove the prefix part. Okay, under the transform, we going to tell path remove prefix. Okay, so what is the prefix we have to remove is catalog. Okay, so we have done the configuration. So yeah, so this changes I will push in the repository, you can take it and you can utilize it, or you can also type it yourself. Okay, cool. So now let's go back to the services. Let's see everything is fine. Yeah, okay. So now we'll go back, we'll close this all. Okay, now in the gateway program file, now we have to add our proxy. So for that, builder dot builder dot service dot, first we have to add reverse proxy. Under the reverse proxy, so we need to tell like from where you have to read it. So pass builder dot configuration, sorry, add proxy, load from config file, configuration dot get section. The section name, the key which we define is the reverse proxy. Just pass it over here. So done. The next thing, we'll add builder dot services dot add rate limit. So currently I'll keep it a null rate limit. So later we can do some changes regarding the rate limits. Add rate limiter. Okay, done. So next thing is now builder we read it, then map to make sure map reverse proxy. Okay, okay. Service we added, and once build done, we have to map the reverse proxy. Cool. So we are done with this configuration. So now let's go and run our project and see how it's working. Have any issues? Okay, my Aspire dashboard is loading. Okay, so now if you see under the table, resource table, we have two endpoints. One is catalog services and gateway. So let's first see the individual. Here we go and check products. Yep. So now catalog endpoint is working fine. Now we try to access the catalog via gateway endpoint. Let's go and click on this. Type slash catalog slash products. Cool. So now we will be able to access the microservice from the gateway. Similarly, we'll try to create one more service and close the session. The simple order service we'll create and try to access from the gateway API. So let's close this. Okay, let's go back here. Let's quickly add order services. maybe we call it as ordering dot service. Let's choose a folder. Okay, I just default checked it, so let it add default into the Aspire project. Okay, now catalog service added, and in app host, let's see, yeah, ordering service got registered. So here a little bit trick we need to add the reference to the gateway. So let's keep this down where ordering service equal to, okay, cool. Now what we will do, we'll just add the reference to the gateway dot with reference. Cool. So now successfully added the reference. So quickly we go through our program here. Just minimize it. So here any yeah. So we don't need to require to redirect to first repairs, and we'll remove this all the predefined core templates. Just remove it. Okay. So I just added, there is a get all slash get all, and the order ID and product ID one, quantity 10, some hard coded value. Okay, let's for testing purpose, and then quickly we go to the gateway, and we'll create one more cluster and the routes. Okay, just quickly going to, okay, so then what we'll do now, we'll go on the properties, ordering service. Let's take this in URL and place it over here. Sorry, something went wrong. Just copy, paste it. Okay, so now we'll define the new route. Just copy. Okay, now we call it as orders route, and then we take the orders cluster. Here we define orders, then orders. Okay, done. So let's quickly run our application again. Okay. So now you see one more endpoint. So let's quickly check slash get all. Okay, now it's API endpoint returning the data. Let's now we'll try to access from the gateway. Now first catalog.products. Okay, cool. Now we copy, duplicate this, and now orders slash get all. Cool. So now in the single gateway, we are able to access the catalog and order services. So I'll summarize what we did this session. We just built the YARP gateway API, and we set up the configuration reverse proxy, and we define the clusters and the routes. Based on the routes URL, we are redirecting, we are taking the from the clusters path and redirecting internally. So yes, so hopes you enjoy the video. So we'll see you in the next session.